daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.
Well, it comes as a shock to absolutely nobody that England have officially qualified for the 2026 World Cup in North America. Hello everybody and welcome back to the Daily Newcastle podcast after England have beaten Latvia 5-0 in Riga to cement their place at next year's World Cup. And to be fair, we probably shouldn't be taking that for granted, considering how solid England have been in this campaign. 0 goals conceded with 2 games to play, and they've officially qualified without any difficulty. And that's more than what most can say. I'm not talking about anyone in particular, of course. Qualifying from that expanded format for the World Cup should be easy, yet Sweden have almost guaranteed to fail. Italy will have to win a playoff, and there have been some really shocking results in the UEFA qualifying bracket. Faroe Islands beaten the Czech Republic just as one there. But around the world, there's been some more shocks. In Asia, Uzbekistan and Jordan have already qualified. Saudi Arabia have still got to play a playoff group in their 4th round, so maybe they won't qualify, although you'd have to imagine they would. And then in Africa, Cape Verde qualified for the World Cup, the second smallest country to ever do so after Ireland. Meanwhile, 2 of DR Congo, Nigeria and Cameroon are going to miss out. So that is a very, very shocking one, and it might be another one where Wissa, or Johan Wissa, should I say, doesn't get to play in a major tournament. Hopefully that isn't the case. But with AFCON, who knows what's going to happen there. And then World Cup, it's not looking great for the Democratic Republic of Congo. But winning these simple games, for some, it ain't so simple. But back to England, who have found it so simple in this particular qualifying campaign. They played the strongest 11 they possibly could against Latvia, and that told pretty much everyone we're here to make a statement. Send the players back to their clubs on a huge high, and when we come back in November, everyone's happy. For Newcastle United, Anthony Gordon was the only starter for England. Dan Burns started on the bench, and Gordon's place before the game was the one that everyone was talking about. Would Marcus Rashford come in? Could Jack Grealish still stake a claim? And Gordon probably put in the performance that everybody wanted him to, because he isn't a guaranteed starter. He isn't even guaranteed in the squad next summer. But a brilliant performance against Latvia. It's a great starting point for the England man. I haven't been as convinced with him for Newcastle, if I'm completely honest. But for England, he's looked fantastic. And if Thomas Tuchel and Eddie Howe are happy, then who am I to complain? Going into the game, just to start off, actually, the Latvian national anthem is it's pretty beautiful, isn't it? But it's proper long, isn't it? It felt like it was going on and on and on. And it's a bit of a weird contrast being serenaded with that for about 2-3 minutes. I would have liked that for the whole game, but then going straight into Craig David's Just Eat advert, ITV, wasn't really something that I was looking forward to. Unforgivable. And what was nearly unforgivable was England not putting the ball in the back of the net in the first 25 minutes. Latvia started 5 at the back for England. Kane came in for Watkins. Miles Lewis-Skelly came in for Mark Guéhi. Esri Konsa then moving from right back to centre back. Contrasting performances from the 2 players that came in. Lewis-Skelly was arguably England's worst player. You could have put him in a Latvia shirt and I think he would have looked about the same quality today. Not his best game, but he isn't getting game time for Arsenal, so what do you expect? And then Harry Kane got a brace. Could have had a hat-trick, but just wasn't clinical enough on the day. Took 30 seconds for England to have the ball in the back of the net. Saka ran beyond the defence, squared it to Kane to score, but when the initial pass is made, Saka's already halfway through his run and he's offside. That set the tempo though, and there certainly wasn't going to be any talking about the crowd being quiet. Took about 2 minutes for chance of, are we loud enough for you? And we sing when we want, and some that I'm not really going to repeat on camera. And after 2 minutes, it's probably what Thomas Tuchel wanted. But I don't think there's ever been any criticism of England's away support, it's always the home support. And it's the same with Newcastle United, really. So we understand that pretty well. But back to Harry Kane, he had the first good chance of the game. Quick 1-2 with Anthony Gordon, who first half was excellent. Kane on the volley, probably should have scored, but it kind of just set the tempo for the game. It was Gordon who actually broke the deadlock, 25th minute. Lewis Skelly gives the ball away on the halfway line, a bit further up actually. And it's actually a moment of genius from the young man because it's the first time Latvia pushed their line higher. Konsa wins it back. Or I say the Latvian attacker passes it against him. It ends up at the feet of John Stones, who we know can ping a ball. Pings one over the top of the defence, finds Gordon. He beats 2 or 3 players and curls it into the far right corner. And that is the Anthony Gordon we love to see. And to be honest, before that, his crossing was quite poor, but his dribbling was fantastic. We've seen that a lot with Gordon really in the past, but he was England's best player by a country mile in that first half. Latvia then started to get into the game a little bit for about 2 minutes, but they got in behind twice. It was Lewis Skelly who they got in behind, but again, mentioned England's poor crossing there. Latvia's was just as poor. They had a couple of penalty shouts in the game, but none of them were really any concrete shouts. Just pretty much ball bounces up, hits the arm, and it's even slightly, very quickly. The defender can't really do anything about it. England weren't great in the final third, but dominated the game. Did make it 2-0 before half-time, and it comes from a Latvia mistake caused by England's press, if we're trying to be positive. Great press, really. It leads to the defender hitting the ball off Bukayo Saka. The ball falls to Harry Kane. He gets it out of his body, 25 yards out, and curls it into the far left corner. It's Harry Kane, he's a freak of nature. Not really sure what else you would expect, given Kane the ball in that kind of position. Goal number 75 for England, and he could have scored it 76 seconds later instead of minutes later. Gordon and Rice link up well on the left-hand side. Rice floats in a ball over at the right-hand side. Kane just at the back post, heads it, and it's cleared off the line brilliantly, I must say. And then the corresponding corner, it takes about a minute for the referee. The referee doesn't give it at all, actually. It takes about a minute for VAR to send the referee to the monitor and say it's go to the monitor, it's a penalty. And during the move, Harry Kane is literally being stripped of his shirt by the Latvian defender. And as a reward for that, he took the penalty, and guess what? He scored. Goal number 76 for the marksman. And with that, it turned half-time. So we're halfway through the game, probably halfway through the match reaction as a whole. So let's give ourselves a bit of a boost with a bit of Bionique.
Your body is unique. And Global Sports Podcast Network has partnered with Bionique, the world's most personalised supplements. Bionique provide 100% tailor-made supplements designed to deliver precisely what your body needs at exactly the right levels to optimise your health. No guessing. So click the link in the show notes. Use the code GSPN2025 for 40% off your first month's subscription. Bionique. Don't settle for off-the-shelf solutions made for just anybody. Get what's right for you right now.
Excellent stuff. So it was actually Latvia that started the second half nicely. Started off with a great pass behind Konsa, gave them a one-on-one with Pickford, but the Villa defender, as we've seen do so many times for Aston Villa, he got back to clear, got those long legs around the striker and stopped him from getting forward in a legal way. Originally, it looked like he was going to have a one-on-one, looked like it was a great chance, but the defender did brilliantly. And then they had a long-range effort, which ultimately was a lot further away than it looked. But again, Latvia made the change at half-time and actually looked the better side because of it. They were never really going to threaten England, but they gave it a good go. And to be honest, they look like the best side we've played in qualifying so far, which is mental when you consider they're in a playoff to see if they play San Marino in the Nations League next autumn, which is absolutely mental, really, when you consider we've played Serbia, but still have Serbia and Albania to play in 2 games left, so maybe they'll cause a little bit more threat than both of them did in the first games. But yeah, back to the game. The fourth goal doesn't really take long to come for England, and to be honest, it is probably the worst goal I have ever seen, if I'm completely honest, although that's maybe harsh on Jed Spence. The ball comes back to him. I think it's Saka who just lays the ball off to Spence. He whips in a beautifully curled ball where it's just on the edge of the 6-yard box, not close enough for the keeper to actually be able to get a hand on, but close enough that he thinks he can. Latvian goalkeeper tries to clear the ball, does his best Superman impression, absolutely misses the ball. It hits off the Latvian defender, who now I've got to pronounce a Latvian defender's name for the first time. I believe it's Tonisevs, and it bounces into the empty net. And it's almost embarrassing for Latvia, but yeah, what you're going to do? These things happen. And that kind of led to England sort of taking the foot off the gas a little bit. Not to say they didn't already after half time, but 3 substitutions were made. Jordan Henderson, Eberechi Eze and Jared Bowen came on for Declan Rice, Morgan Rogers and Bukayo Saka. And I will say, I am a little concerned that Jordan Henderson keeps coming off the bench. And I say that because the likes of Adam Wharton are left at home. While Henderson is still a decent player and he's not as washed as what many people thought he was, does the experience that Jordan Henderson brings really warrant not taking one of England's most exciting young talents in a position where next summer we might well need him? If Conor Gallagher doesn't really hit the heights, if Elliot Anderson picks up an injury, are we supposed to think Jordan Henderson's going to slot in there and do a job against the likes of Brazil, Argentina? I don't think he does. So for me, it's stupid to keep bringing him. Maybe he does bring a good atmosphere. If he does, hire a clown, hire some entertainment. Because realistically, you've got Adam Wharton waiting at home, and he is such an exciting player. He's too good to just be sat watching England games on the telly. But back to the game. Pickford then had to make more saves in 30 seconds, I think, than in the 5 previous games. It was the own goal scorer, Tonisevs, who forces him into a great low-down save to his right. That causes a corner for Latvia. Then from the corner, we clear it pretty easily. And then I believe it was Davicic's, who fires one straight at Jordan Pickford. It actually meant Pickford had to do something, which I'm sure he's happy, because it's more he's had to do in one game than he's had to do in the 5 previous ones so far. So I'm sure he'll be happy about that, and it was another clean sheet for him as well. Then a couple more substitutes for England. Anthony Gordon, who was England's player of the match in my opinion, brilliant performance from him. He was substituted for Marcus Rashford, and then it was the turn of the Geordie lad, big and broken. Dan Burn came on for John Stones, and I'll be honest, if I'm marking Dan Burn from a corner here in this game, I'm literally just holding his hand and I'm hoping for the best, because a broken hand, when you're playing against a side who you're 4-0 up against, it's probably a bit dangerous, because they will probably just go, right, I'm done. I'm just going to hold that hand. I'm going to squeeze it. And let's be honest, you're not getting anything for a handhold in the box, are you? But I'll be honest, thankfully it didn't look like that happened, but I'm holding his hand and I'm praying, please don't aim for the big lad, which, to be honest, it didn't look like we did. Every corner hit the first man after that. But yeah, it was a pretty tame end to the second half. There was another goal from Eberechi Eze, who does brilliantly well. He links up with Jared Bowen, who again does excellently actually. Wins the ball in midfield from the Latvian midfielder. It's a loose touch. He presses them so well. It's a real great credit to the West Ham man. Finds Eze after Rashford ran offside. Eze dribbled past a couple of players and just buried the ball into the corner. In the far corner, should I say. It was basically a closer to the goal version of Anthony Gordon's goal. Picturesque, brilliant. Done the same move twice and won it, the game with that. So that was about it. I'll leave with 2 questions for those at home and listening. The first being, England have 4 friendlies before the World Cup. Who do you want to see us play, and who do you think we need to play to get acclimatised to the tournament? So I think we need to play a game or 2 away in America, get the players a little bit more used to the climate, maybe the time zones, etc. If possible, Mexico away sounds perfect. Maybe horrible for the players, but it's something that I think we're maybe going to need. And then you need to play a team that's really going to test that England defence, because the worst we've had is Serbia, who didn't want to attack us. You can say Senegal in a friendly, but England's attitude on the day was terrible. Senegal were absolutely fantastic. Credit to them, but I don't think that tells us how England are going to play at the World Cup. So realistically, I think we need to play in Argentina, Spain, even Portugal, and just get used to having those, particularly wingers. If it's Portugal. Because Portugal got some fantastic wingers who can go down and beat a man, still play great football, but they're a bit more direct. Spain, still going to be that tiki-taka style, but you've got to focus. It's a very different style of play, but they can still hurt you, as we saw in the final. And then Argentina, just a completely different opposition. They're a bit more ragged, they're a bit rough, but they're going to, you're going to know you're in a game afterwards. So I think England, 3 different teams, they'll test England in different ways. I would love to see them play one of them before the World Cup, even if it means a loss, to learn more about the team and what we need going into that tournament. And then to finish, final question. Harry Kane is now 32. I think he stays as England's number 1 striker for another 4 years, simply due to the lack of quality coming through in striker at the moment. He has 76 goals for England after the brace tonight. Does Harry Kane get 100 international goals for England? Let me know your thoughts. Personally, I think he does, and I'm going to pinpoint the exact moment I think it happens. I think it's going to happen in the qualifying stages, towards the end of the qualifying stages, I'd say, for the next European Championships, which will probably be 4 years, I guess, now. But that could all change if another striker comes through the ranks. Maybe it's Sean Neve, who knows? I hope it is, to be honest, because England needs someone, and if a Geordie can fill that gap, that'd be beautiful. But no one looks like doing it right now. That's all from me on the Daily Newcastle podcast, and it's the end of our England journey for another month. Whether you're thankful about that or you're a little disappointed with that, it's only another month until we see the next one. It's 15 goals without reply for England, and America awaits the England boys. See you later.
Your daily soccer podcast with the Global Sports Podcast Network.